Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Folashayo Samuel and I'm an infrastructure and DevOps engineer. In simple terms, I'm one of the people responsible for making sure applications stay online, perform well and don't fall apart when traffic starts growing. Today's topic is what breaks when you scale. One thing many developers don't realize is that an application can work perfectly for 100 users and still struggle or even fail when it reaches 100,000 users. The code might be exactly the same, but everything around it changes. Traffic, infrastructure, databases, networking, monitoring, and reliability. In this video, I'll walk you through what actually happens as systems scale and, more importantly, how modern cloud infrastructure and DevOps practices help keep those systems running reliably. I'll be sharing practical concepts and lessons I wish someone had explained to me much earlier in my career. If you are interested in cloud DevOps, backend engineering, or building reliable systems, you are in the right place. Let me start with the uncomfortable truth. Scale rarely breaks one specific thing. It breaks the seams, the joints between your pieces. Think about what actually grows as you get successful. First, traffic. More requests, more open connections, more data. The database that fell through me last quarter is suddenly the thing everyone's waiting on. Second, complexity. You don't stay a single app for long. You add a payment service, a notifications queue, a cache, a third-party integration, and every single arrow you drop between two boxes is a brand new way for the system to fail. And third, this is the scary one, blast radius. Early on, if one thing hiccups, one user is annoyed. At scale, one slow database or one dead node can take down a whole slice of your product at once. So, the mindset shift I want you to live with is right here at the bottom. Reliability isn't a feature you bolt on at the end. It's a property you design for from day one. Everything else I will talk about is just how you do that. Before we can keep something reliable, we should agree on what the word even means. Because reliable is fuzzy, and you can't improve what you can defend. I break it into 4 questions your users are silently asking every single time they touch your product. 1. Is it available? Is it up when I need it? And here's the number worth memorizing. The gap between 99% and 99.9% uptime isn't small. It's the difference between a few minutes and several hours of downtime every month. 2. Is it correct? A blazing fast wrong answer is still a failure. Speed doesn't save you if the data is wrong. 3. Is it fast enough? Latency is reliability. If your package takes 8 seconds, users don't file a bug report, they just leave. Slow is the new down. And 4. Is it recoverable? Everything fails eventually. The real question is how fast it heals itself and gets back to normal without a human heroic session. In the industry, we turn this into SLIs and SLOs, that is service level indicators and objectives. Basically agreed targets like checkouts response in under 300 milliseconds, 99.9% of time. You don't need the jargon today. Just remember, pick a target, then measure against it, which brings me to the next piece. Okay, so you have defined reliability. How do you actually keep it? It starts with being able to see. The single most useful sentence in my job is, you cannot fix what you cannot see. When something breaks at 2 a.m., and it will, your monitoring is the only thing standing between a 5-minute fix and a 5-hour guessing game in the dark. There are 3 signals that together tells you the whole story. Metrics are the numbers over time. CPU, memory, request rate, error rate, latency. That's your dashboard. And that's what triggers your alerts. Logs are the detailed play-by-play, the line-by-line story of what actually happened, which is where you dig once a metric tells you something is off. And traces follow a single request across every service it touches. So instead of guessing which of your 10 services is slow, you can see exactly where the time went. But here's the part people miss, and it's on the bar at the bottom. The goal is not to have more dashboards. Dashboards you have to remember to look at are useless. The goal is to find out something is wrong from an automated alert before an angry customer finds out for you. If your customers are your monitoring system, you've already lost. Now, here's a stat that surprises people. A huge share of outages, depending on which study you read. Well over half aren't caused by some cosmic ray or a hacker. They are self-inflicted. They are caused by a change we deployed ourselves, which is actually good news because it means we have a lot of control here. The whole game is, how do I ship changes fast without betting the entire system every time I hit deploy? 4 habits. First, automate the pipeline. CI runs your test and builds automatically on every change. The moment humans are and copying files to servers, mistakes are inevitable. Second, release gradually. Don't flip everyone onto the new version at once. Canary or blue-green deployment lets you send maybe 1% of traffic to the new version first. Watch it, then ramp up. Third, watch the signals while it rolls out. If error rates or latency spike on the new version, you catch it at 1%, not 100. And fourth, and this is the safety net that lets you move fast. Rolling back should be one command. A bad deploy should be trivial to undo, not a frantic 2 a.m. rebuild. When you have these four, deploying stops being scary, and when deploying isn't scary, you ship more often in smaller pieces, which counterintuitively is far safer. So far, we've talked about seeing problems and deploying carefully, but the deepest shift is in how you design the system itself. The rocky mistake is designing for the happy part, assuming everything is up, everything is fast, everything responds. At scale, that's a fantasy. At scale, something is always partially broken. A node is restarting, a network link is flaky, a dependency is slow. Resilient system expect that and keep serving anyway. 4 principles. Redundancy. Never have exactly one of anything critical. Run multiple instances across different zones. So one failure is a shrug, not an outage. Statelessness. Keep your servers disposable. Don't let a user's data live on one specific box, because then losing that box loses the user. If servers are interchangeable, you can add, kill, and replace them freely, which is the whole basis of scaling. Third, timeouts and retries. Never wait forever on another service. Cap how long you wait, retry sensibly, and use what we call a circuit breaker. If a dependency is clearly down, stop hammering it, so one slow service doesn't drag your entire system to a halt with it. And fourth, graceful degradation. My favorite. When a feature fails, degrade instead of dying. If the recommendation engine goes down, hide the recommendations. Don't take down the checkout with it. Partial service always beats no service. Users forgive a missing widget. They don't forgive a blank page. Alright, you've done everything right and it still breaks, because it will. So let's talk about the moment of the incident itself, because this is where teams really show their maturity. Here's the reframe. Having an incident is not a failure. Every serious system has them. The failure is handling it badly. Mature teams run a calm, repeatable loop instead of a panic. Detect. Your alerts catch it earlier, ideally before customers do. There's a clear on-call owner and one channel where everything happens. And a tip that saves you every time. Communicate early, even before you know the cause. For example, we are aware of an issue and investigating. That buys you enormous goodwill. Third, recover. And please notice the order here. Your first job is to stop the bleeding and restore service. Root cause analysis can wait an hour. Your users can't. Resist the urge to debug the mystery why the site is down. Get it up first. Understand it after. And then learn the blameless postmortem. And I want to land on this one, on the bar at the bottom, because it's the real multiplier. Blameless. When something breaks, you ask what in our system allowed this to happen, not whose fault is this. Because the second you start pointing fingers, people start hiding mistakes. And hidden mistakes are exactly how the same outage comes back to bite you a second time. A blameless culture is how a team actually gets more reliable over time instead of just more scared. Let's talk speed, because performance is reliability. Remember, slow is the new down. Here's a lesson that took me a while to learn. When traffic climbs and things get slow, the bottleneck is almost never the application everyone is staring at. It's almost always something underneath. Let me tell you where I actually spend my time. 9 times out of 10, it's the database. It runs out of connections, it's missing an index, or you've got what we call an N+1 query, where loading one page quietly fires off 500 tiny queries. The fixes: connection pooling, read replicas, proper indexes, will buy you more headroom than throwing servers at the app ever will. Second, catch the expensive stuff. The fastest query is the one you never have to run. Put a catch in front of your hot, frequently read data, and you absorb enormous load for almost no cost. Third, make slow work asynchronous. Don't make a user sit and wait while you send an email or generate a report. Hand it to a background queue and let them get on with their day. Their request feels instant, the work still happens. And fourth, when you do scale out, not just up. Instead of one giant expensive machine, run several smaller ones behind a load balancer. It's usually cheaper. And crucially, if one dies, you are still standing. One big machine is one big single point of failure. Quick but important one, because it's often treated as somebody else's job. Security is not a separate track from reliability. Think about it. If an attacker takes your service down, or corrupts your data, or leaks it, your users experience that exactly the same way they experience a bug. The thing they trusted stopped working. A breach is just an outage with a headline attached and a lot more paperwork. You don't need to be a security specialist to get the high leverage basics right. Least privilege. Every person and every service gets the minimum access they actually need, so that one leaked key isn't the keys to the entire kingdom. Guard your secrets. No passwords or API keys sitting in your code or your config files where they end up in Git forever. Use a proper secret manager and rotate them. Patch relentlessly. And this is the big one, because the overwhelming majority of real world breaches exploit known holes that were already fixed months ago. The patch existed, nobody applied it, and shrink your attack surface. Close the ports you are not using. Keep internal services on private networks, and encrypt your data both in transit and at rest. None of that is exotic, it's hygiene. But hygiene is exactly what keeps the boring, avoidable disasters from happening. Now, a constraint we don't talk about enough, but that dominates the real world, which is cost. Because here's a trap: you can always buy more reliability with more infrastructure, more servers, more replicas, more redundancy across more regions. It never ends. The actual skill isn't maximizing reliability, it's knowing how much is enough. Look at the numbers on the left. Going from 3 nines to 4 nines, that's from about 8.5 hours of downtime a year down to under an hour. Sounds obviously worth it, but each additional 9 can cost you many times more in infrastructure and engineering effort. So, the real question is, what does this system actually need? Your marketing blog and your payment system do not deserve the same budget. Your blog is not your bank. Matching the reliability targets to the genuine business need is one of the most senior decisions you will make. And on the levers to control it, right sizing. Most cloud bills, honestly, are 30 to 40% pure waste. Machines far bigger than the traffic needs, running idle. Auto scaling, scale up for your busy hours and back down at 3 a.m. So you pay for the traffic you actually have, not your worst case peak 24 hours a day. And know your unit cost. Cost per user, cost per request. The moment you can say each user costs us this much to serve, a scary total bill turns into a number you can actually reason about and manage. Observability, safe deploys, designing for failure, incident response, performance, security, cost. And if you are earlier in your journey, that can feel like an impossible mountain. So let me make it feel doable. Reliability isn't a switch you flip, it's a ladder you climb, and every team is somewhere on it. At the bottom is reactive. You'll find out you are down when a user complains, and every single fix is a fire drill. Most people start here, and that's fine. The next rung up is monitored. Now, your dashboards and alerts tell you first. You see problems coming instead of getting ambushed. Above that is automated. Your deploys, your scaling, your recovery starts happening without a human babysitting them. And at the top is resilience. The system quietly heals itself, and failures becomes routine, boring, non-event. Nobody wakes up. Here's the point I really want you to note down. You do not need to be at the top tomorrow. Nobody starts there. The only thing that matters is that you know which rung you are on and you pick the next one. Wherever your system is today, just take one step up. That's it. That's the whole strategy. So let me boil the whole talk down to 5 things. If you forget everything else, keep this. 1. Design for failure from day one. Reliability is built in, not bolted on afterward. 2. You cannot fix what you cannot see. So invest in monitoring before you need it, not during the outage. 3. Deploy small, deploy often, and make rolling back a single command. That's what lets you move fast safely. 4. Handle incidents calmly and blamelessly. Restore service first, understand the root cause after, and never turn a postmortem into a witch hunt. And 5. Match your reliability target to what the business actually needs. Your blog is not your bank. Spend your reliability budget where it counts. That's it. That's how systems stay standing as traffic and complexity climb. So let me leave you with the one sentence that sum up my whole philosophy on this. Reliability isn't about never failing. Anyone who promises you a system that never fails is selling you something. Reliability is about failing small, failing quietly, and recovering fast so that most of the time your users never even know anything happened. That's the job. If you find this video helpful, kindly like, share, and subscribe.